I do believe we are live on my channel one more time. I'm going to give it 30 seconds to make sure that it's actually working in the interim. Hi, Rahul Desai, old time partner in crime.
Hello, long time no see.
Long time no see. Like, where have you been? Joining us today this week on live on my channel is Suchin Mehrotra. Hi, Suchin.
Hi, how's it going?
You know how it's going. And Uday Bhatia. Hi, Uday.
Hello, hello.
ऐसे बड़ी बड़ी करके शक्ल दिखाते हैं सबकी हाँ hello everyone. I just felt like there is so much to talk about this week that I need to make sure that I am not echoing into the void by myself, yelling into the void by myself, that I have people that I can actually talk to about what is happening right now. है ना?
Can I
Gentlemen?
start with the most disappointing thing this week? Is that okay? Rahul has come back from the US without an accent, and I just think it's not okay. Like, I'm not okay with it, and it's hurting my emotional center.
Rahul, how do you respond at this time?
Yeah, I really don't have anything to say except that Chhava sort of shocked me back into reality. So whatever accent I had, it went during the screening.
Yes.
None
By
of
the
you heard
interval.
me before that. Yeah, yeah.
How many films have you watched this week, Rahul, since you've come back?
Like 4, which is my average. Uday's face is worth seeing when I say these numbers.
You've seen 4 films already since you've been back. Which ones? Tell me names.
Like one was this Shekhar Kapoor's daughter's debut film, which directed by Kunal Kohli.
Oh,
That
yeah.
I feel like they were
yeah.
saving that for your return. Like, that's how they timed that release.
Yeah, I felt like they did. And it was the first, literally within 6 hours of landing, I started watching that because I was jet lagged. I was like, yay, dekh lete.
Yeah.
But yeah, that and then the Yami film, Netflix film,
Dhoom
Pratik
Dhaam.
Gandhi. And yeah, I've forgotten all names now. Chhava and Captain
I
America.
am here to help. Yes. Here,
Yeah.
look. All the names. Uday, what have you seen this week?
Seen Chhava and I watched Dhoom Dhaam today, so I'm already
Today?
forgetting it, but I did see it.
And last week you watched, did you do Mrs.? Yeah, you do. Yeah, we discussed Mrs. You and I. That's right. You and I spoke about it privately, private chats.
Yeah, I saw Mrs. and the Boman Irani film.
Mehta Boys as well. And Suchin, what have you
Mehta
watched this
Boys.
week and last week?
Last week I did Mrs. and Mehta Boys. This week, Chhava and Captain America, which I tried my best to forget, but
Captain
not
America, right?
happening.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. So we already have people coming in. Look at this. That's wonderful. I love it. I love it when people join in with the absurdity. Um, after a long time, this has been a week where there's been a lot of anger against film critics again. I mean, people are always just sort of mad at us all the time, but this week I felt a little bit more. So that's always a fun, scary feeling to have. Um, let's get into it. Let's get into the films that we are talking about. Sabse pehle, let's talk about Chhava. Yeah, Uday, you want to start?
Oh no,
Oh no, you don't.
Nobody wants to start now.
where can one start?
Rahul, anything you want to say about Chhava? Look at us. We're so scared right now.
Honestly, when you mentioned anger against film critics and all, I was like, I've been amused over the last few days because people who are getting angry at the few negative reviews, which is all the people in this room right now, uh, are also sharing links to our reviews, which is great for the websites and great for us because they are idiots who just want to direct people, other like echo chamber people, to be like, look how this critic has hated it, and he's a bad Hindu and shit like that, which is nothing new. We are used to it by now. It started with like Kashmir Files. It started with Uri. In fact, Vicky Kaushal should take a lot of blame for this. I'm going to get into that soon. Very disappointed. But yeah, no, the hate is nothing unnatural. It didn't like freak me out like it did, say, for something like Jigra last year, which was not political. It was another thing altogether. But Kashmir Files, the hate was next level. That was the inception of hate, of what such film critics can get for films like this. And Chava just carried on that legacy. It's nothing new.
Yeah.
It's the same
Uh,
film. It's the same film except in the 17th century. There's nothing new.
I have another film critic friend who's watching us right now, Siddhant Adlaka. He's at Berlinale and he's like, I'm specifically angry at you guys for being good at your jobs. What is really sort of, I can't understand how to navigate this is I am trying to get my thoughts across as to why something like this like needs to be discussed, and it's almost like nobody wants to listen why we must even discuss this. Like it's either the film is good or it's bad. That's always been the thing to us that we've gotten. देखनी है film या नहीं देखनी है ये बता दे, इतना आगे कोई discussion में जाना नहीं चाहता. But I feel like it's sort of become impenetrable, that wall of like, I don't want to listen to you. I don't know how to navigate that anymore, to be honest. Uday, thoughts?
I think it becomes especially worse when you're talking about historical films, because there are either like a large section of the population or small but very vocal sections that will not listen to any criticism of the film. They take criticism of the film as criticism of the person. And it's not to say that the people involved in the film should not be criticized also. If there, if there are valid historical points to be made, then for sure make them. I'll start with Chhava itself, that, I mean, what you get in the film is a very, very glorified account of Chhatrapati Sambhaji. If you do a little bit of reading online, and I have no knowledge of Maratha history and all, so I can't really argue this stuff out, but I did a little reading because I wanted to see what people would yell at me about. And you do find out that in his life there was a lot of stuff that was he was a more complicated and flawed individual than what is there in the film. And none of that, of course, makes it onto the screen. What does instead is like this almost mythological kind of characterization of the guy. And that's there in all the Hindi historicals that we've seen now. So it's almost like you are criticizing a god if you're criticizing any of these. So it's just, there is no conversation that happens.
Which one? I think Rahul, you said this, or Uday, I'm sorry, I'm confusing the two of you because you're just both so handsome. I'm confusing your reviews. Which one of you said ki you meet Chhatrapati Sambhaji already pre-formed, fully formed in the film? Uday, you said that, no? Yeah, which is like so accurate, right? There is no room for any growth, and that was what I kept trying to emphasize in my film, that like you need colors to a character, even if a character is wonderful and there's so much valor. And I was also reading about him, and I even admitted in my review that I don't know Maratha history. It's impossible to know every history, because if only people who know Maratha history are going to write about a film that is about a historical figure, then we're not going to get any reviews of the film. But like, I was reading up about him a little bit. He wrote poems and he was a writer. There is so much more to this character that could have been explored. And people are pointing out like the scene where they introduce Akshay Khanna. I thought that was very unorthodox, very interesting, that he's knitting in the very first scene. I pointed that out in my review. Not to say that Aurangzeb didn't knit in real life. I bet he did, and I did read about it. He did knit. He liked to knit. My comment is not on how can you show someone knitting. It is just a comment on the film, on the choice of Lakshman Utekar introducing a character who is the king of the nation, knitting. That is me trying to find some flavor in a flavorless film. And then again, it's the whole... I feel like, why do you not want to listen? Like, nobody wants to listen anymore. Suchin, what have you observed this week around the film?
I was just thinking two things. One was what Uday was saying, the idea that you're not, for a lot of people who get annoyed at reviews of films like this, you're not reviewing the film, right? For them, it's personal. It's the sentiment. It's literally, it's as if it's like a biopic that's way too close to them. And it's also why I feel films like this get away with it. Like, it's very common that films like this are not good, but you convince the audiences that they've been through a really amazing emotional experience. And the other thing I was thinking is, even though like film criticism at times like this, there's a lot of attack and outrage and anger, it's also the times where I feel like it matters most, because, the noise is deafening. And then when someone is able to have a really meaningful conversation about these films and really see them as films, there's a reason, like the way, Rahul's review, for example, the way it's being shared, there's that idea that like the anger will always be the loudest. But the people who really felt so vindicated reading his review, the way they've shared that, it just has more value. That it's not, you are having a deeper conversation. You're saying the things that you're thinking, but you're scared to say. And I just feel like that's where it's times like this, the reviews really matter. And it's easy to forget that because you get shouted at a lot. But I really feel like it's where you really realize how much value film criticism has on weeks like this.
Yeah. Rahul, did you also end up reading up about Chhatrapati Sambhaji before you wrote your review after you watched the film?
In fact, like while before I watched the film, I was like, "Hello, let us do like mandatory. Just open Wikipedia, basically. Open the first page, and as Uday said, he is complicated like most kings. It's not like one king or anything. In fact, the Mughal, but there was no difference between the Mughals and the Marathas. The way a lot of them have been like recorded in fact in history, and these are the same facts that a lot of readers keep throwing on our faces, saying, "Are you saying that history is false?" I was like, yes, what the film chooses to say is extremely opportunistic, obviously, because they have eliminated everything colorful, everything human about all these characters. There's no difference between history and mythology. At least the good thing about like about Telugu cinema and all, they straight away go with mythology. They don't pretend that like they're talking about humans or anything. All the big filmmakers down south, they know exactly what they're doing. But with Hindi filmmakers, a lot of the problem is the historicals. And now I even wrote in the review, because now I'm starting to look fondly at like what Bansali did. And I know there's a
Yeah.
fan of Bajirao, and which we'll discuss later, but I wasn't a fan. And now I'm thinking that at least it was a love story. At least we saw, Bajirao, at least we saw a filmmaker trying to show that Bajirao is going crazy and things like, imagine doing something like that now. It is
Yeah.
impossible. And that was what, 8 years ago, 9 years ago. We are talking like it is 20 years ago. It's not supposed to be like that. And I mean, you just read up Wikipedia, the first page, you know exactly how interesting a king he was, especially because he was the eldest son and stuff like that. And this, I can't. And as you said, it's like screaming into a void. So now I start preempting a lot of these reactions in my reviews itself. I feel like I'm talking to 5-year-olds, or sometimes I write like that also. And I think it works because there's no point really having a conversation after the reviews, after we put out the reviews, because it's just noise. So the best thing we can do is just like sort of be fearless in what we are saying. I honestly didn't expect it to be reviewed, so we'll come to that, like how authentic most of the reviews are. But I didn't expect it to get like the crit, because when I was in the press show, nobody around me, nobody in the vicinity was even liking the film. And then when I went home, the same people who were bitching about the film in the interval, I'm saying 4 stars. I'm saying 4.5 stars. And yes, I'm casting aspersions on our profession, on the people who do it. A lot of these websites are not honest. So it's part of the publicity drive. It's not surprising.
Uday, so this is a comment that again comes back to my point of I don't know how to deal with this anymore. I feel like I've been crying hoarse about, but questions are intention of putting up a review is that they can disagree with your opinion on a film. But why is it that only critical thinking is the only way to look at a film? Please, can you explain why we must look at a film with critical thinking? Please, Uday.
Can you explain
I
the
mean,
question? Am I the only one who doesn't understand it?
This person is asking Paritosh that why is it that only critical thinking is the right way to look at a film? We can read your reviews and disagree with you. Why must we be critical of films?
Why is the earth round, basically?
Why is water
okay.
wet?
I mean, so the most common misconception I think is that film criticism means criticizing a film. That's absolutely not what it is. It is, it's analyzing a film, it's giving your opinion on a film, and of course, people are very welcome to disagree with that opinion. That's the whole point of what we have been talking about, that there should be a conversation and there should be openness on both sides to consider the work and to discuss its merits and lots of demerits in Chhava's case.
Can I highlight another comment there? This one's for you. Please read it out loud.
Oh no.
That's my account.
Uday, can you read this out aloud?
Please,
Like, I can't read
Definitely
it
not.
properly.
Absolutely not.
Uday is a cutie.
I'm
I
putting this on
love
a t-shirt.
This is why I like doing these live streams, because it's mostly people who like us who turn up to these live streams to watch me. Real time में गालियाँ नहीं पड़ती है, बाद में people get mad at these live streams. Another thing, like, which is it just makes me so sad. People are commenting saying, "Ha, you to must like Jodha Akbar." Like, yeah, I like Jodha Akbar. I really do like Jodha Akbar. Why are we in a place where liking Jodha Akbar is
I
controversial?
didn't even like Jodha Akbar, and it's looking like Sholay compared to Chhava and Prithviraj and whatever else has released recently.
Oh my God! There's let's see. Let's take more comments here. Manan. Well, yeah. Well, that's another thing. Lawyer costs in this current climate. Like, I don't even
Which
know
is
how
what
to.
I mean. That's what like so much of Rahul's review was, right? It's like it's a film driven by fear. You know, you're making it because you're scared from the outset.
Yeah. You really think that there were reviews of this film, Rahul, that were not very honest?
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm going on record and saying this. Like I was in the press show in Bombay, so I know for a fact how many of them were honest and dishonest. I'd go to say around 80% was dishonest, and it's nothing new again. For people who are shocked hearing something like this, it's why film criticism suffers reputation wise, because everyone automatically assumes that all film critics can be bought, and the problem is most of them can be. And in a film like this, you get exposed the most, because you cannot be of sane thinking to come out of this film and say this is a great film. If you come out of this film and say this is a great film, I'm sorry, it's not about like my opinion versus yours. It's just basically straight up like this is the only film in say like since probably it's been a while, but this is the only film where I'm of a very strong opinion saying if you liked it, there's a problem with your integrity. It's while watching it, it's very clear. And sure, a lot of audiences may be driven by emotion, and I get it. But I'm talking about film critics here, talking about reviewers in general. And of course, a lot of reviewers were also scared to call it out fully. If you noticed, a lot of the negative reviews were also like, Vicky Kaushal was great, but the film was shit, which is always the polite way to say that the film was shit and Vicky Kaushal was also shit. But
That's something I wanted to ask the three of you. Actually, did you think Vicky was good? I really did not, and I'm surprised to see that the majority of everyone else's reviews are praising him a lot.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
I think it's
Sorry, Sachin, go ahead.
no,
Sachin, I
you go
called
for it.
you.
Go for it.
Suchin.
Go for
Sorry.
it. Go for it.
He cuts a formidable figure on the screen. There is no denying the fact that when Vicky Kaushal appears in a frame, the frame just like you can't see anything else. And Lakshman Utkar knows this, and he uses this, and with the cinematographer, they really like but I think a lot of it also has to do with that him just constantly being presented as a savior, and every time he shows up, it's a slow motion shot. It's not for the first 3 times or 4 times. So your opinion of watching him also gets swayed. The film is also compelling you to constantly be like, look how great he is, and that can sway an opinion. Suchin.
No, I was just going to say I didn't. I mean, I didn't think it was. There was something very static about all the performances. I felt the same thing about Akshay Khanna, where I literally felt like what you got from watching that trailer, which was pure presence and an interesting, distinctive visual, is exact. Like I couldn't think of much I was getting from the film, from any of the performances, where they just look a certain way. I kept thinking this is definitely a film they'll put in the Vicky Kaushal showreel when
Yes.
they're giving him a tribute, because it looks distinctive. He obviously brings that presence, but it was just a lot of hacking and slashing. It felt like just a very big action performance where he's just very aggressive. And yeah, it just felt very static. There's not much of a graph to that character at all. Um, so yeah, but I just felt like I literally felt like I was just watching a generic action film. And it's the same with Akshay Khanna. It just looks a certain way, and it's the illusion of presence, but you're not doing anything with it.
Yeah. And people who are like, I really wish, I think I'm being a little naive that maybe perhaps we don't live in these times anymore, but I really do wish that none of the critique is about the person. The critique is about the film. And if the person that the film is talking about is so important to you, you should demand better as well. Demand a better film. Demand a better story around this person who's so important to you in your personal life, in your cultural life. And that's really what the critique is about. We are not historians. We're not here to point out how historically accurate or inaccurate or the film is. We're here to talk about the merits of the film as it stands in today's world, contextualizing it in India, specifically in February of 2025. Any last thoughts, you guys, before we move on? Ha, Rahul, say.
Yeah, you sort of compared to Vicky Kaushal's performance in Uri, which is basically what started this genre. Another propaganda movie, but look at him there and look at the film also overall, if you can zoom out a little. Now suddenly I'm talking about Uri with fondness also. I don't know. We've reached a path like this, but we've reached there. But even in Vicky Kaushal, he's done a bunch of period films. I'm not talking about the genuinely good film like Sardar Uddham. I'm talking about like the one where which one, Uday? Where he plays
Sam Bahadur.
Yeah, Sam
Sam
Bahadur.
Bahadur, right? It's impossible to take your eyes off him. Whatever he's doing with his performance, it's impossible to take your eyes off him. Here it was genuinely the first bad Vicky Kaushal performance, and I'm not entirely pinning that on an actor. An actor is not alone in a film. He's directed by someone. He's probably framed by someone. The writing is a certain way, but it really was unbearable at times. I couldn't handle the fact that I'm watching such a fine actor just scream his way through the film. Like he was just screaming throughout the film. And as for Akshay Khanna, like I think Uday is a big fan, and even I enjoy watching him on screen a lot, especially when he plays these smart-ass detectives, because he's always better than the films he's in. But here, except for that one moment in the end where he said "Maza nahi aaya," that was the only part where Akshay Khanna came out of his prosthetics. He jumped out. That was Akshay Khanna speaking. That was not Aurangzeb speaking. But for the rest of the film, it was like this weird sort of strange old Mughal king, like just using silence as a crutch because that's how the trailer showed him, and that the prosthetics were supposed to be the USP of his performance, and which is doing him injustice, because he can be very enjoyable if he has fun with a villain. I don't think he had as much fun as he should have with someone like Aurangzeb, or with someone like Saif does normally with all these Mughal villains when he plays them.
Saif was a lot of fun in that. What was he in with?
Omraut film.
Ajay Devgan one.
Adipurush, no. Yeah, Adipurush.
Tanaji.
But Tanaji was in this film also, right? Like, wasn't he in this film? as one of the characters.
Is it?
Initially, when Akshay Khanna showed up, I'm like, his wig and his beard are not in communication with each other. They are entirely different. They just made him look very like, it was a very weird introduction scene. I was like, what are you saying with this? But Uday, you're a big Akshay Khanna fan, Rahul mentions.
I love him doing these like absolutely weird roles in stupid films. I don't think this film made enough use of him. He's barely there. I thought Aurangzeb hai, to like he'll be all over the film, and they just make him like the worst piece of tyrant guy ever. And he's really not much different from all the other historical villains we've seen. So fail on the film for doing that. I just wanted to also bring up for a second Rashmika Mandanna, because what is going on with that character? And I had to, as I sometimes do when something is so outrageous, I ask Rahul that did it actually happen or did I hallucinate it? But there's a point at which she tells Sambhaji that I wish I could be your mom.
Baby John multiverse.
Yeah, and I was like, I couldn't have heard that right. And then I messaged him and he's like, no, it's there. It's crazy. Do writers' brains like short circuit when they have to write things for Rashmika? Like, it's every film she has like one batshit scene.
I mean, it's Rashmika Mandanna, Divya Datta, like she is in the film. They start creating an arc for her, for that sort of older matriarch who is only there to like make sure that her son succeeds. We've seen this stereotype before. But like suddenly she
Right.
falls sick and suddenly she's dead. What happened? You were trying to develop a parallel conflict and there was some flavor to like, is he going to be fighting home or is he going to be fighting the invaders? Is he going to be fighting on both ends? And then the home conflict just goes away.
I anymore because she's made a career out of coming in this macho, like from Animal to Pushpa to like
Rashmika,
this.
yeah.
I'm done. Like most of the performances are really bad, but the characters are worse somehow. And and it's so bad that even Diana Pente like is inert throughout the film. Like whole first half is just her reaction shots. At most points, I thought she was Aurangzeb's
Wife.
lover or something.
Yeah, I
And
thought it
then
was the wife character.
midway through, I'm asking someone next to me saying, "Who is she? Please tell me who is she?" Like his daughter. I was like, "Okay, then that did not come across." There was a lot of sexual tension, but
I literally started writing down every time she had a speaking moment, and I was like, "It'll be a fun drinking game. You would drink 3 times, like you take 3 sips and carry on living your life." I literally wrote each line. That's it. She gets 3 lines.
These are the kind of characters you introduce in a film for exposition, right? The character who will come in and just sort of update ki वहाँ से army इधर से आ रही है, यहाँ से army इधर से आ रही है. We've seen these characters in film and they're only exposition devices, really nothing else to make sure that the audience is fully caught up. But she looks amazing, man. She's such a good-looking woman. I can't even. I think she's gorgeous, Diana Pente. Okay, great. I mean, Manan says that he feels like Rashmika Mandana is going to some kind of humiliation ritual in the movie industry, honestly. I feel bad for her after watching Pushpa 2. I haven't even watched Pushpa 2. I don't know. Shall we move on or do we have any final thoughts to add on Chhava? We've been discussing it for like 30 minutes now almost. Suchin is in deep thought.
this can be a meme. Like on first place, just wondering
Yeah,
what to.
let's do it now. 1 second. Uday, you look towards your name where your name is written. I will look this way. And Rahul, you look upar where the AC house taraf. And Suchin, you look where you were looking. Uday, look idhar niche. No, other direction. Other direction. Other direction, Uday. Niche. Ha, perfect. Very good. Look. I'm going to screenshot this later and put it up. Okay, great. Ho gaya. Now, let us go to... Rahul, please start on Dhoom Dhaam. You know, I was watching this film. I will only start. तेरे को invite करके I'm only talking. I started watching this film. I was enjoying it. Mukul Chadda showed up. I was like, great. I love watching Mukul Chadda on screen. Something fun is going to happen. This is finally going to be like a silly film that I need in my life. And it's just, it didn't. It didn't go anywhere. Rahul?
Yeah, honestly, even I started thinking. I was like, first of all, Patik Gandhi. It's really hard to. He plays granted, he plays the same man in every film, but it's really hard to dislike him. And normally, the films he comes in are mildly interesting because of the character he plays. But and it was going down the usual, one night only, black comedy, satire, whatever route, and and I actually like the concept of like their entire arranged marriage being sort of dissected through this whole formula. But as you said, it really went nowhere. I had no feelings about it. Like I didn't know. It was so middling. It was so, sure, there are some moments that are genuinely funny, but most of the film is just like unfolding for the sake of unfolding. There are a lot of just adventures put in. We've seen bunch of films like this. What happens over the course of one night? Like even Anora, which is as like probably going to be an Oscar-winning film, is pretty much that. If you look at it, if you zoom out and look at it,
It's a one night, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of experiences that a bunch of characters go through one night, and they are entirely unprepared for it. But yeah, Hindi films do it very strangely. Like and it's such a Netflix film. It's so tropey. It feels like I'm watching an algorithm after a while, not a film. It feels like it's been designed by like AI after a while. Like just put him as a stripper in one scene, put them on a terrace in one scene, and have them do this accident in one scene. It's just all very predictable and sanitized. And the whole point of these films is like Kunal Khemu does them really well, right? Like a lot of these films,
yeah.
like but yeah, this one just ran out of runway like probably less than midway through, and I knew exactly how middling I'd sort of find it by the end.
rhythmically disconnected. All these scenes, they have an idea of what they want to do. कि एक scene यहाँ होगा, एक scene यहाँ होगा, एक scene यहाँ होगा. It's going to look very cool. This is one set, one set, one set, one set, and then like Akshay Khanna's beard and wig, they are not communicating with each other. These sets in these locations. Uday? First of all, by the way, Uday, you ruined my screenshot by looking in the wrong direction, as people are pointing out right now.
I thought, yeah, my bad. I was going to protest and then I didn't know how to. So
One of these things and not like the other.
I gave up.
Yes,
Yeah,
Uday,
no,
Dhoom Dhaam.
I mean, it started off kind of fun. I was enjoying it for, I guess, half an hour.
Me
And
too.
then Yami starts yelling at a group of guys and at Pratik Gandhi for some reason out of nowhere, and it was probably a rant that should have been in Mrs. But instead is coming out here, and it just goes on, and it felt like, Rahul mentioned AI. It basically felt like, it's something put in by the filmmakers that they want people to like cut it, make a recording of it, put it on Instagram, and then it'll go viral or whatever, and it'll be like, oh, look at this scene, and that's going to help the film. It literally looked like something that was conceived outside of the general process of conceiving this film. It's just like, we will put one scene in there that everyone will just want to share, and then we are going to run on the basis of that. And I don't know, it as you said, it felt very disjointed. Nothing, like a lot of like these little quirky elements, not fun, but it just never comes together.
Yeah, exactly. It felt like you hit the nail on the head, that scene was put in there for Instagram shares alone. And that is very sad. It's very sad. It is devastatingly sad that that's what's happening right now. Suchin, did you watch Dhoom Dhaam?
No, I missed it, but I was talking to Uday about it today about like it just, I haven't seen the film, but it just looked like Pratik Gandhi is very much being slotted in that one character, right?
It's
Like
the Madgaon Express guy. It could be
Yeah,
like an
that's-
offshoot of the same film. It's the same guy.
yeah.
So
Which sucks, 'cause I think he's a very good actor, so I hope they can see beyond that.
indeed, he's a very good actor. What else did you watch, Suchin? Is there anything more to discuss on Dhoom Dhaam, you guys, or should we move on? Because even on my channel, like, people are not interested in that movie's reviews too much. Anything else that anybody wants to add to this discourse? No. I watched the
Really?
film. Say na.
No, except like I didn't like Yami's performance. I have to say that.
You didn't or you did? Please be very clear.
No, I did not at all like her performance.
Okay, the performances were not good.
Oh, this is nice. She's in a non-nationalistic, non-patriotic sort of setup. It
Just
might be
silly, fun comedy, yeah.
It's a silly, fun, harmless, non-agenda, non-propaganda comedy, which is how she made her name, right? Like back in Vicky Donor days, and she was very watchable.
She's the best thing about that Bala film. She's so good.
Even
in
Bala,
that
right?
movie.
Like she was so much fun in that film.
So fun.
But yeah, after a while, it felt like she was acting in an action film here. Like when she was getting angry with the people around and just losing her shit at people around, it felt like that she was in the wrong genre. And it was an author-backed role if you look at it technically,
Absolutely.
because she had all the scenes.
Yeah.
It was written for her, the film, obviously.
Yeah.
But it just didn't come through. Like it was not a good performance.
Yeah. Let's see what we've got next. Let's start with Mrs. up next. Suchin, I will let you go because पिछली film के बारे में तुमने कुछ नहीं बोला. मतलब let you go as in go. 1, 2, 3, go. Talk to
Is
me
it
about
because of my
Mrs. This is a
stand-up?
film you liked.
I did. Yeah, I went to the screening of this, and obviously you go in with all of the preconceived things of remake. It's not going,
Yeah.
Great Indian Kitchen. I still remember. I just feel like it's one of the most cinematic, gut punch, immersive things I've seen. The way it was so anti-Bollywood, the way it made you feel a thing without talking at you was insane. And but with Miss Star to say, I mean, I had a very similar reaction. The word that kept coming to me was effective. I found the film to be very effective because for those 2 hours, I was sitting there. I was literally squirming in my seat. Anyone sitting next to me in that theater would not be very happy. I was very, very just angry. I wanted to do violence upon every male character, all the in-laws, all of them. And yeah, it really did work for me. I really like that Sanya performance. I found her so endearing. You really just want to protect her from the world, and I think it's one of I think my favorite performance of hers. But there was something. I mean, the thing with Great Indian Kitchen is it's all about the specificity, right? The culturally and all of it. It's so specific. There was something generic about this, which I guess is what it was going for. I was also surprised that again, it's always relative, but you're always so expecting to be lectured at in a in quotes message movie because that's what Hindi cinema does. And in this one, I was quite surprised that they were sticking to the relatively speaking, they were opting for the subtlety of it. There was no sort of big moment. It's literally only in the last 7 minutes where it starts, going a different direction. I feel like that film ended for me when we see her in a car drive away. That was it. But then again, it needs that moment after where she's shouting at her parents and all that stuff. So that underlining obviously was unavoidable, but it really did work for me. I really felt every aspect of it, and yeah, I just felt great.
Okay, the film did not work for me at all, and thank you for sharing that because I felt like I was losing my mind a little bit. I was like, why is it? I mean, I am the ideal audience for this film. I am always ready to be like, yes, but I was just like, oh my god. But maybe it's because I'm such a big fan of the original, but also Uday and I were discussing this on Twitter DMs afterward. Why this film doesn't work? Uday, do you want to counter Suchin's points at all, or you have your own opinion on the film? Share here now.
No, I think Suchin made very valid points on this.
Yeah.
I think maybe just the original might have been stuck in my head a little, too clearly.
Yeah.
And I'll say that Aarti Kadav, I think, is a fantastic filmmaker and a really unique voice.
For sure.
This felt more to me like a very faithful remake of the original. And I think she is a bit wasted on it. I think there aren't many filmmakers with very original voices working in Hindi cinema right now. And there are a lot of people who can do almost scene by scene remakes.
Yeah.
And, obviously there are, reasons to, make choices, and maybe the material felt personal to her, and it's not like a bad job has been done with it at all.
Yeah.
But I think if you've seen the original, there may not be much more than you can get from this.
Yeah.
I'll also just say that I think the original was watered down in maybe one or two aspects. I think one significant one was the linking of Sabrimala, the verdict going on in the Malayalam film.
Yeah.
And there's no real equivalent of that out here. And it's a very important thing that happens in the original one, and it never really, that connect is not made here.
That's what radicalizes her in the original one. The when she's told that when you're menstruating you have to sit outside, and then when she's watching all the Sabrimala coverage on the TV news, that's what really sort of triggers her into being like, screw this. So that was disappointing that it took it out. Sorry to interrupt. Go on.
No, it's not a bad film at all, and Sanya's quite good. I just didn't get much out of it having seen the original. I guess though, a lot of people hadn't seen the original and are now getting mad originally with this film only. So I guess, it's doing its job with a different audience. But I don't know.
Again, I'm a huge fan of Aarti Kadav's work. I like her vision. I think that she is so unique and fun, and she's a woman and she makes these really interesting stories. Even a short film that she made, The Astronaut, with Ali Fazal in it. The Astronaut and His Parrot, it's called, right? Rahul, you wrote about that film, no?
Yeah.
The Astronaut. Yeah. Such a wonderful, wonderful little film. I don't know, there's squinting. Have you not heard about that film? It's really nice.
I've seen it. Yeah. I couldn't remember the title. Yeah.
It's something like that, but it's really, really nice. And Sanya Malhotra is one of my absolute favorites. In fact, anytime there's a new Sanya Malhotra announcement, I'm excited because there's few actors like her who are able to helm a film. She's straddles that line between indie, kind of maybe, and mainstream. And yet that if she is headlining a film that there is a group of people who have come together to make this happen, to take a chance on her and this story. But what was disappointing about Mrs. was because it was just so faithful and yet not enough. Like, it was faithful because every little scene is recreated, every conflict is the same, especially when Varun Badola shows up. It's the same scene with the uncle who shows up in the Great Indian Kitchen and he says कि हमें चाय पीनी है, and by the time she makes the chai or jaljeera or whatever, by the time she comes out they've already started drinking, and then he's like आज हम खाना बनाएंगे. Line by line it's almost a translation, which is disappointing. It's not a bad film at all, but it is not an adaptation, and I don't know how much of the effect of the film can be credited to this team. Most of it is credited to GOBB because it's the exact same. Adaptations can still be wildly original films. For instance, 2 years ago, Loop Lapeta came out, which is an adaptation of one of the most watched films on the planet, Run Lola Run. And it is a completely different film, a completely different language, a completely different visual presentation. And so adaptations, and I was really hoping that there would be something a little bit more moving. I don't like, or like my like or dislike doesn't matter in this case, but like here, the background music really just dumps the whole film down. You've really watered down the whole, like, you're telling the audience in every moment, you're not allowing the audience to enter the film. But having said that, maybe I am just projecting my own disappointment because this film seems to have triggered so many people and has triggered conversations, and people are talking about it and people are having debates about it, and which is, you know, a good outcome. So it is, I'm not mad that this is happening. Just from a critical film critic point of view, the film didn't work for me. Rahul, you've not watched it, but you're a big fan of Cargo, right?
Yeah, massive fan of Cargo. And I've not watched this film yet, but I mean, I agree with the general point that, Artik Adav, I mean, she's really one of a kind in terms of her vision and her creativity. And maybe a remake is not the best use of her talent. I don't know. But yeah, I'll watch. I hope to watch it soon anyway.
And I hope that people are, encourage your family to watch the originals. You're saying that my mother has never watched The Great Indian Kitchen and my father's never watched The Great Indian Kitchen, so that message has not reached them. Maybe we need to inculcate an environment where we are watching films that are not in the Hindi language. We're watching films that are in Malayalam because they are available to us, and they're what is interesting is that one of the, correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the production companies that was involved in making The Great Indian Kitchen is called the 1 Inch Barrier, which is what Bong Joon-ho said on the Oscar stage when he was winning for Parasite, that if we get over the 1 inch barrier, we'll be able to accept more cinema in our lives. And it's so ironic that the production company is called 1 Inch Barrier, and then yet we've not been able to get over the 1 inch barrier. I'm just reaching at this point to find like meaning to my life and my job.
But apparently, speaking on behalf of producers who don't give a shit, apparently the common wisdom right now in the industry is remakes are a bad idea because your audience has seen a lot of those films, because they're just, so many of them are not working, because that is the assumption, and hopefully that is the case, that they are watching sort of, even if it's the big mainstream blockbusters, they are watching films in the other languages. So doing the typical Hindi remake is not going to get you very far today.
There you go. All right. I think that's enough for Mrs. Moving on. Rahul, तू तो छुट्टी पे था, तो तूने ये फिल्म पक्का मुझे पता है नहीं देखी है. But Uday, you watched Mehta Boys?
Yeah.
Thoughts on Mehta Boys? Tell me. Another film I was very excited for that didn't quite land.
Yeah, it didn't land for me also. This is such a Rahul film. Oh God.
I couldn't
It's
stop
like,
thinking of the piece Rahul would write on this
I
film.
didn't even want to write my review. I'm like, what's the point? Rahul's just gonna come and write like a 15,000 word essay, and it's going to be the definitive thing on the film. The writer of the film is going to say, you should have written the film.
Baman Irani will tweet it. Avinash Tiwari will become a lifelong fan. Like, Rahul should have written this piece.
This is a very Rahul film. Yeah.
But it didn't land, na?
No, I mean, not for me. Again, a little, maybe I was a pretty good audience for this film, I feel, because I really like Boman Irani.
Yeah.
I think he's
Absolutely.
like, he's just fantastic. I mean, he's rarely given a bad performance in 20 years.
Never.
He's so good. And he seemed like the person who'd also make a good director. Like, he seemed. And it's a competent job, but I don't think it's a very smooth job at first time directing. You can see that it's like, trying out some stuff, but maybe not quite there. There is a theatrical aspect to it, and he has worked a lot in theater, so maybe that has kind of played a part. But I don't know. I found it a bit. I found it a bit stilted, and
Yeah.
I did not enjoy Avinash's performance too much
Yeah.
out here, and I do like him a lot in some other stuff, but
We
not
all
here.
do.
And yeah, I thought Burman was very good, but and Pooja Sarup is fantastic
Yeah.
in the few minutes that she's there.
Electric.
But yeah, I just it did not didn't really grip me. I don't know what were your problems. And I know Suchin liked this. Suchin had his strong views on this also. So I
Listen,
want to hear
another
what.
film that I was the tailor-made audience for, because मेरे जितने daddy issues किसी को है ही नहीं. Tailor-made. I was ready to fall in love with this film, fall inside this film, cry, give it everything I have. Also because I've heard about this film for a while. I've heard from Avinash about this film, and I think one of the writers is the writers of Birdman,
Birdman.
right? So I was very. Uday.
That's a good reaction. That's a good reaction. I like
I'm
that.
gonna turn that
Yeah,
into a GIF. That's a GIF right there.
is that a first? Headphones falling.
Yeah, for sure.
No, but it's true because I
Yeah,
think
no,
the
no.
right.
I read that
I'm not
it's
making
so
this
weird.
up.
It's
It's
yeah,
true.
no, and that person apparently has been on. So Boman Irani runs a master
Screenplay
class or
lab, I think, or
something.
something along
It's
those lines.
something. So this
Yeah,
guy was on
something
that.
good.
So I guess they
Yeah,
hooked up there.
but I think my issue was with the film was that it's all build-ups, 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 and then none of it comes to conclusion or any fruition, right? Pooja Sarup is electric. It's really sort of incredible how an actor appears in like 3 scenes and is the best thing about that film. She's electric, and she seems like she's the only one who's alive doing anything in this movie. I felt like it was, again, it's an idea of a film, like of how father and son, when forced to spend time together, will react, as opposed to really actualized scenes or moments of that reaction, like something, especially in that hospital scene when Baban Irani gets into an accident, and then Avinash's character runs to Amay runs to the hospital, and his sort of girlfriend is already there, and then she tries to tell him, you need to be a better son, and he's like, sometimes you say he's a child, you have to treat him like a child. Sometimes you say he's my father, like, please make up your mind. And it's like, great, like, let's get into this, and they don't get into it. They don't get into anything. That was my problem with the film. It felt very like, and it didn't enter my skin, under my skin. It didn't get under my skin at all in any way, good or bad. Suchin?
No, I was very similar to that. Like exactly what you said. I did not feel it as much as I wanted to. I was so ready to. I was wanting to. I was ranting at Uday about this film so much in just grappling with trying
Ranting
to get.
at Uday. Uday ने थोड़ी लिखी है.
No, but that's what I was literally going to say. I don't remember all my thoughts about it, so I'm just going to ask him if he does. But no, I was just trying to understand what it was going for, and I had such a tough time because, again, this is a film you absolutely want to root for. If you don't like it, you're not sort of feeling smug about it. I thought the Pooja Sarup character, that was the best performance. The one person I fully understood who she was. But my bigger issue, apart from just not feeling the emotion and the impact of it, was I was truly trying to understand what the film was going for. When at the start, I thought it was clearly you're waiting for the moment, you're waiting for the big explanation as to why this is their relationship. There's always like a dramatic scene, something like the Kapoor and Sons template, something, and then it's building to a point, and you're just waiting for some form of grand revelation, and it never really comes. So then at the end, I was like, is it trying to go for a nuanced slice of life thing where there is fault on both sides? Because Avinash Tiwari's character and that performance didn't work for me, but you're waiting, throughout, he's underconfident. He's clearly had all these issues, the way he regresses into a kid around his dad in that opening scene. And you're like, okay, this is going to go somewhere. But after a point, it started feeling like Baman Irani's character is this wonderful, sensitive man. He's this grieving husband. It really became, for me, he was the victim of the film. And his son, I kept thinking of Bunny from Ye Jawani Hai Diwani. That's if Farooq Sheikh made a film about his experience, and that's where which is completely fine if that's the case. But then I was thinking of all the obvious jokes that Baman Irani's made a film about. Obviously he's going to make a film about how kids suck and parents are neglected and all that kind of stuff. And I was just and obviously the performance is excellent, and I like the idea of an actor directing a film to sort of take charge of their own narrative to prove what they can do. But I didn't know that we needed a film to prove that Baman Rani is an excellent actor. We've seen him in
Absolutely.
dramatic roles in the past, so that it just felt like a very much like a great show reel for him. But I just didn't feel it, and I
Yeah.
just after the point everyone's just giving the Avinash Tiwari character such a hard time, and I was like, and in the end, he goes to apologize to his dad, and I was like, is that what this film was? Because that's not the film I thought it was, or the film it was building towards, and I was just lost at the end.
Yeah. The screenwriting lab that he runs is called Spiral Bound. Manan has just shared with us. He takes online sessions for free, which is, I think, phenomenal. So
Yeah,
good.
he's been doing this since
Lovely.
the pandemic, and he's done apparently hundreds and hundreds of these workshops, and
That's
it's very cool.
lovely. I mean,
Nice.
great. So here is a shout out to Spiral Bound. Should we move on, or Jay says that Donkey was Baman's only bad role? I have to agree. Donkey was bleh, did not
Yeah, it
We
work.
was
will
so
talk
bad. I
about.
forgot it's in it.
Very cringe. Huh? Sorry, Suchin.
I said we'll talk about the Mehta Boys again after Rahul has written his book on the film, and we'll come back to it.
देखो ट्रेलर देखकर ऐसा
हाँ,
लगा नहीं राहुल कि मैं देख ही लेता हूँ.
मैंने ट्रेलर भी नहीं देखी. Like I have no idea. Like, but then now that all, especially Uday said that he didn't like it, I'm sold. I'm going to watch it as soon as possible.
Don't hate watch a film that you will love.
No,
I mean,
I'm
hate
going to
for
be
me,
love
love
watching.
for
I'm
the
going to
film.
preempt my love for the film already. No.
And listen, if you like the film, that's good. I would love to hear your point of view on that as well, because these kind of films should exist. These kind of films should be out there more. We need softer cinema. We need people to like not be killing and murdering and maiming and
But it is
bloodshedding.
a very sweet, well-intentioned film. It's the film where you
Absolutely.
absolutely are rooting for it, and yeah, you feel bad when you don't love it, and you're still always rooting for it, even if it didn't work for you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ankit. There is very few people who shared your sentiment right now. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. All right. After ये किसने देखी है दोस्तों जरा मुझे ये बताओ. उदय ने नहीं देखी, राहुल ने नहीं देखी, सुचिन तूने देखी है?
I did, yeah.
प्लीज यार कुछ तो
Uh,
बोल.
so you know how everyone has like a greatest hits show reel in the head of awkward product placement in a Hindi film.
Too funny
This is the
man.
this is the first film I've ever seen where the opening frame and opening scene is product placement.
You
It's
guys, the
Net,
opening credit, the whole sequence is OnePlus.
it's him buying a OnePlus phone for his girlfriend,
I
and
have a
it's literally
OnePlus.
there you go. So you're also product placement, and it's basically then just them talking about the features, and they're trying to make it a character moment. And I was like, I've never seen like I was amazed in all the wrong ways. It was very impressive.
Yeah, I was like, wow, that guts. Hashtag guts. The full credit sequence looks like it's an ad for OnePlus, and I'm not even exaggerating, guys. You please go and look. I mean, I don't know how you will find it, but if you can find it somewhere when it lands on OTT, just watch the first like 5-7 minutes. It is the credits are rolling, and all you see on the screen are slow motion shots of the OnePlus phone with OnePlus branding. And then the first dialogue of the film is talking about the processor of the film because he's at the shop buying the OnePlus for his girlfriend. Goodness gracious me. I watched this film with such low expectations because of the unavoidable publicity tour. You can't escape it anymore. And this one, especially, you couldn't escape. So I watched it with very low expectations. So maybe that's why I walked out of the film feeling, okay, sure. I don't,
I think
sure.
I think there's a lot this film sort of. I was trying to understand if it's not terrible. There's a lot this film gets away with packaging. Just like the visuals, the BGM, that they have all these sort of cutesy social media montages and things like that. And there's a lot it manages to get away with. And you walk like though. I was thinking like, is this not terrible, or is it just managing to like cut around all the awkwardness?
Yeah.
But no, it. I mean, there are elements that were not as terrible as I thought, but still, I mean, it's exactly you watch that trailer and you feel like you know exactly what you're in for.
we have over 200 people watching us live right now. So everybody who's watching, thank you for being here. If anyone of you have seen Loveyapa, please add, because I honestly don't have any much more to say about that film. So please send a comment and I will highlight it. And also, if you're watching us live right now, click that like button under this video. See, because what happens is when you click the thumbnail, the thumb button, up wala thumb button, then this stream finds a wider audience and more people will come and join us and help us in just commiserating our lives right now. What
Is this
else?
the
Oh, yeah.
better Ashutosh Rana performance of the fortnight?
Indeed.
On the fortnight, he does like 10 films a week. Like he's every week.
What have
Like the
you
last,
seen him recently, aside from Chhava and Loveyapa?
there was
No,
something
this,
else.
I mean, just no, these two.
There was something else. I think I saw a trailer. I've seen him recently, like very recently in something else. I mean, the stamina is insane. Like very impressive.
Yeah, good for him. What is really incredible, or whatever, my observation, both the characters he's speaking chaste Hindi, chaste, like real shuddh. Because his character in Loveyapa is like this, I don't even know, is he a professor of Hindi or something? Why is he talking in Hindi like that much?
But did that character make sense to you? Because it's the stern father who's obviously too strict about his own daughter, and at the end he becomes Seemanti. Like what was like, or
It made
he's
no
just
sense.
there as a device
No.
to
He's
swap
he's
phones
like this
and.
old school dad, and the shade to his character is that he's very old school and he speaks in Hindi. Like good night also he says in like Nisha, Shubh Nisha or something. Nisha ka Aram. I don't something he says, but that's a word that I've never. He doesn't say Shubh Ratri. He says something even more like weird. And then he knows how to hack a phone. So I'm like, wow, great, interesting. But then in the end, he doesn't know what a deep fake is. So I'm like, ideas हैं, ये ऐसे, but coherence नहीं है. And it's just cacophony at the end of it. I didn't. Anyway, I think Junaid Khan. I liked him in Maharaja. Did anybody watch Maharaja here?
I couldn't get through it now.
I liked him in Maharaja. I thought he has the makings of a real serious, dramatic actor. But we'll see when
There
that
was
day comes.
one. There was just like there was a couple of scenes in the
Maharaj.
first half where I really liked him, and I don't know if the film was aware. He sort of comes across. It's not intentional because he's supposed to be sort of this charming rom-com thing, and that doesn't work at all. It's that he's far too sort of uncomfortable. But there's this one sequence where he comes across like a chump, like a Pratik Gandhi character, where it's almost like he knows that he's with somebody way out of his league, and he's just trying to keep his life together. And there's something about that I thought worked really well. But then obviously it has to try and force him into being a hero and all of that stuff, which just wasn't working.
Sorry, Rahul, for
Yeah,
ruining your holiday memories. According to Pradeep, I apologize. One thing I think Loveyapa does gets away with. Maharaj was a bad film, but Zunaid is okay. Uh, in this film, he and his friends are like really not good men. They're bad guys. They are responsible for like harassing people under with anonymous profiles on the internet, and then they like win. So I'm like, ugh, can't
also,
get
this
behind
has the
that.
Rocky Rani problem where the guy has a whole infrastructure of friends, but she's not awarded a single female friend or friend full stop.
Her sister. She gets a sister
She gets a sister
and she gets a
sometimes and a guy
job,
with a
quote
love affair.
unquote. Yeah, you don't know what her
Yeah.
job is. She gets a job and he has like an IT developer and has a whole ecosystem around him. But the
But I
film,
always found that very weird. When the male character gets this, the friendship is underlined, it's part of the plot. And here, the female character doesn't even get friends, which is just
yeah.
weird.
Uday, did you like Secret Superstar?
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was okay. I mean, just about.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
Rahul, did you?
Same. It was okay. I liked Raj Arjun because he was really hamming it in that film.
I like Raj Arjun, yeah. I think he's a very good actor.
Yeah. I didn't expect it to like obviously become such a big deal in China, especially. But yeah, no, the director. I haven't seen Loveyapa, but I saw the trailer. That sometimes I'd like to believe I know what the film can be after watching the trailer, but I feel like he was broken after his last film. That's why we see a
Lal
film
Singh
like
Chaddha.
Loveyapa. Yeah, Lal Singh,
But
because
that's
I
an
like Lal Singh.
insane. It's an insane 3 film arc. If you look at Secret Superstar, Lal Singh, like,
Yeah.
and then now he's like launching. It's such a weird arc. As a director, like, I don't know what you want to call it, range, you want to call it whatever, but it's just a very weird journey he's had.
Suchin, can you do the Loveyapa hook step?
I'm very proudly I can tell you that I can't. Me and Junaid are the same like that.
Neither you nor Junaid can do the hook step. Mohit has been asking us to say his name. Hi, Mohit. Thank you for being here. And Mohit is also a fan of Rahul's. So, hi. Thank you. Again, we have nearly 250 people watching us. Please click the thumbs up button underneath and please encourage more and more people to join this stream. Up next, Suchin, this is completely yours. Let's go.
Must
शुरू
it
कर.
be?
I will join you. You शुरू कर. I will join you. Captain America: Brave New World.
Rahul also watched this film and he loved it.
I mean, see, when I watch a Marvel film, I'm not really watching a Marvel film. Let's be honest. You please carry
But
on.
can I first, before you start, Suchin, ask Uday to repeat what he said earlier? Why doesn't he watch Marvel movies anymore? Why don't you watch superhero films anymore?
I stopped watching Marvel, at least the last 3-4 Marvel movies, because that's the only way to stop reviewing them. Because if you are up to date, then they will ask you to keep doing it. But if you haven't seen the last 3 or 4, and they're basically like episodes in a series, so you have to see the previous ones. So I'm trying to create that gap which takes me out of the reviewing of Marvel now, because
Turn it into a skill issue. तो देख, मुझे तो आता ही नहीं है.
No, trust
Suchin.
me, the films are beating you at it because this is going back to like 2009 and shit. So you'll have to watch it.
I read a bit, and apparently it's like it's almost like a sequel to one of the Hulks, like one of
Yeah,
the
Incredible Hulk.
like pre-MCU Hulk films.
Ed
or
Norton
something.
Hulk.
Ed Norton Hulk.
Yeah.
We've
Amazing.
seen that one.
Yeah, it's simultaneously a sequel to the Ed Norton Hulk and to Eternals. Kathy Ann made that, no? Eternals? No, Chloe Zhao. Chloe Zhao made the Eternals. Yeah, Chloe Zhao. Sorry for confusing those two. Yeah, Chloe Zhao was Eternals and the Ed Norton. It's simultaneously a sequel to both those films. Suchin, take it away.
So I think somebody was saying that just now. When you watch a terrible film, it makes you look back on bad films very favorably, and this makes bad Marvel movies look very, very good. Like I literally thought back on all the really, really bad ones, the Ant-Man movies, Captain Marvel, the Marvels, all of the nothing movies, and in every Marvel film, there's a at least a basic Hollywood blockbuster there, right? So in the world of an action comedy, you're always getting something. There's a silly gag that works, one fun sort of CGI, fight sequence, one dramatic moment. You're getting something, and this film was it's actually very impressive how nothing it is. I never it is the worst Marvel film we've seen, but even in the bare basics of just putting it feels like such a salvage job. It's a sequel to something that people don't even remember. It's literally scene for scene. So much of these sequences that literally Captain America, the Winter Soldier, recreated on a budget, and it was insane. You'd always at least get like a bloated blockbuster that you can see people selling tickets to some degree. But this was really like they're not even trying anymore. And it literally felt like a straight to DVD movies like from the 90s, like an extra that you just find or a straight to streaming something. And the fact that they've released it theatrically, and it's also very sad because there's some really cool ideas about it's a character that people love, and then you have somebody else taking on the mantle. It's like the idea of seeing Robert Downey Jr. as the villain. There is something interesting about that, right? You're changing your relationship with a character or an actor. So there is a really cool opportunity there, and this was really, really sad. Like there was I can't think of a single thing that works. Even the action is stale. Like the CGI, none of it works. It just feels like everyone was really not even trying.
I was so angry that after watching this film, they made me go all the way back to like Ed Norton Wali Hulk and read up what happened. Because I'm like, this looks like it's a sequel to that Hulk. And I had to spend like an hour freshening up on like the MCU stuff that I'd very happily forgotten about. I was having lunch with my film critic friend here in New York, and she was like, do you realize how dumbed down this film is? In one scene, when the new Falcon and Anthony Mackie, Captain America, they reach this lair where the scientific lab is, and Falcon, who's supposed to be the science guy, starts saying things like all the genetic data is stored here or something, and then I think Captain says, don't make me get out a dictionary. And then my friend who was having lunch, she's like, for what part of the sentence is difficult to understand? Why are you talking to a to an audience who you think is that stupid. And our other friend Siddhant, who was watching us a while back, he in his headline wrote that it's whatever with a bit of ooh, like you cute. It was so weird to see scenes like, yeah, this president has done some bad things, but we're going to the White House. Yeah. What? How dare you? How dare you do this? But then again, we're not really expecting anti-establishment sentiment from a film that is literally titled Captain America. Rahul?
I mean, there is an Israeli superhero in this. So,
Yes.
I mean, technically far from anti-establishment here. Yeah, bad timing, but then Marvel's never really cared about timing, so it's fine. Honestly, like, I haven't watched a lot of the previous Marvel, like a lot of the recent Marvel movies, and I can still review them. That says more about the Marvel universe than it does about like us keeping up to date with the movies, because Incredible Hulk, oddly enough, was imprinted into my memory. That's how much I like that film. Like at the Ed Norton one, basically. And back then, I didn't know there was never going to be an MCU. Those were innocent days, Iron Man was Iron Man. Incredible Hulk was just this green guy, angry. But we didn't know that they were going to come together and create the biggest clusterfuck in the history of cinema. So yeah, those were nice days, like nostalgic. I got a little nostalgic, but then unfortunately William Hurt is dead and Harrison Ford took his place in this film. So I was like, I mean, like, it didn't even bring back memories in the right way, because he was just like trying to play another character. Yeah, this film was as good or as bad as most of the MCU movies I've been watching for the last 10 years, and I'm involving the big ones in this. I've never been a fan, so for me, I see no difference. My life did not.
How dare you?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because like I love how passionate Suchin is about talking about the Marvel movies, even Gail for that matter. Because
indeed.
that's where I realized that there is a legitimate massive fan following. In our theater there was like 4 people, and they all 4 of them stayed back for the end, the post credit shit thing that Marvel does these days to make you sit for. So just in defiance, what I did is I sat till 2 seconds before that sequence and left in front of them, so that they know I don't give a shit. I just got really petty. It was Friday morning.
Rahul के अपने solo rebellions चल रहे होते हैं अलग. Like nobody knows Rahul is revolting.
Yeah, I'm revolting, and they were laughing at me when I was leaving, because obviously I'm the oldest guy in the theater by 20 years or something. So yeah, it was fun. It was a fun experience, and I forgot about the film by then, so it makes no difference.
I mean, to your point, where Suchin and Gail have religiously followed these MCU films, there was a time we used to just like the 3 of us would just sit and discuss episodes of Loki. Remember, Suchin, on like a live stream and like Miss Marvel and things. I was invested in this stuff, but no.
So that's what's really sad. If you take 2 extremes, right? Like someone who's just like, I'm too tired of this shit, who's never liked the Marvel movies, and like a diehard fan, and those are the 2. It's really sad how like me and Gail, for example, these movies used to be really fun and you'd have a good time. And now we have become literally those people. Like, I will be the troll. I am just walking into all of these movies just sighing, like I'm so done and I'm so tired, and there is the fandom is just extinguished, and it's very sad, because like you have to ask yourself, like, these used to be fun, right? Like, I was invested in these. There's nothing. There's absolutely nothing.
You're basically saying it's sad to become me. I get it. It's fine.
I don't want to. I mean, I can neither confirm nor deny.
The implication's hard, but I'd like to say I was ahead of my time. But okay.
It's not sad. It's great that these movies are terrible, because no one will watch them, and then no one will make them, and they will, they will stop making. As it is, they've reduced was this a 3D movie or is it back to 2D?
Yeah, it was a 3D movie.
3D, but they've reduced, right? Like, there are a lot less 3D movies, I feel, now.
Yeah, I have no idea, dude.
Yeah.
I can't tell the difference, honestly.
I think it's going to stop, hopefully, in another 10 years.
No, I do think, I mean, on a Marvel level, like, this really is crunch time for them this year. Like, if everything pans out like this film does, Like it really is. I think Hollywood will completely lose its love affair with these movies, which probably is for the best.
Manan feels like he's a fifth member of this live chat because I've highlighted his comments so much. But yes, this is a great reminder. Farhan Akhtar is a part of the MCU technically. And none of you have seen Miss Marvel, have you? Rahul and
I
Uday.
have seen Miss Marvel. Yeah,
He shows
he
up
was
in
there.
like he's in like two
Yeah.
episodes and then he dies.
I
think.
actually did. I actually enjoyed that series till the last 2 episodes.
I did too. The
Yeah,
first
yeah.
couple of episodes were really fun.
And what's really
Uh,
irritating is I find Iman Vellani so charming, and we haven't seen her in
Indeed.
Yeah.
anything else. Like I just want to watch her and everything,
I
and
mean,
we're just
she
not
was
seeing
in like some film. They made a film, no, after with
the
They
Marvel.
made
Marvels.
Marvel.
Yeah,
But I'm saying
but
outside of the MCU, just
yeah,
do like wonderful things, and yeah.
I think that brings us to the end of this wonderful long live stream. We've covered everything that we could. Thank you so much for everybody who's watching. Please click the like button underneath this video. And if you like what we do, come back and I'm gonna try and do more of this. I don't know. We only do these live streams where we feel like कुछ है बात करने के लिए. अभी इसलिए हम 6-7 फिल्में इकट्ठी collect करके लेकर आए हैं because it's not like every week we have something that we really want to discuss and get into. If you want to follow any of us, we're all active on Twitter. Uday's work you can read on livemint.com. Go to livemint.com, find Uday's work. Uday, anything else that you want to add?
No. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Rahul Desai's work, of course, you can read on The Hollywood Reporter India. Rahul, thank you once again for joining.
Thank you for having me. It's been a while.
Yeah. Suchin's work you can also read on The Hollywood Reporter India and also subscribe to Suchin's YouTube channel because there he talks about a lot of the good stuff that's on streaming platforms and that's sort of his area of expertise. So if you want to know anything that's good or bad or happening on streaming, follow Suchin on Twitter, on Instagram, and also subscribe to his YouTube channel. My name, of course, is Jhansi Rani, and I keep trying to do these things, keep trying to bring people together. Subscribe to this channel, and maybe next week we'll talk about Super Boys of Malegaon. I've already watched Super Boys of Malegaon. Have you guys seen? Any of you seen it?
Not yet.
ठीक है, watch the film. उस film में बहुत कुछ है discuss करने के लिए, guys. So if you feel like you want to get together after that, maybe we'll do it then again. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Great.
Bye.
See you.
End कैसे करते हैं इसको? हाँ, ऐसे. End stream.